ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the show in the taxi on the way somewhere, Damien Brown. Welcome.
Hey man, how you going? Oh man, it's been hectic this morning actually. So the life of a Aussie dad, mate. I dropped my dog at the groomers, 7:30. He had to get a shave, and then dropped my son to school, and then I dropped my car off at the panel beaters because it was fixed but not fixed. So I was getting a revision. I'm off to get a hire car. In the meantime, because you should always have a hire car option in your insurance. And then we'll see what happens after that. I got Caleb Miller's making his pro boxing debut tomorrow, so get the hire car, do a PT, and then Caleb's got to cut weight, so he's got to weigh in at 2:00, and he's making his pro boxing debut tomorrow. So should be pretty good.
Well, I mean, talk about having one of your fighters make their pro boxing debut. Like, how do you feel about like MMA guys jumping around and vice versa? And, do you think it affects their stock in MMA at all? Like, what's your thoughts overall of MMA guys going into boxing?
No, I love it. These guys should be, if you want to be a well-rounded mixed martial artist, then you definitely should be, in my opinion, you should be having a couple of kickboxing fights, a couple of boxing fights, and then you should be doing jiu-jitsu comps. And everyone seems to think it's okay for MMA guys to do jiu-jitsu comps, but it's like, ooh, don't do a boxing fight. Like, why wouldn't you have a couple of boxing fights, a couple of kickboxing fights, and some jiu-jitsu? Like, it makes a lot of sense if you want to be well-rounded to test yourself in all those areas. I think putting too much weight on the victories in those areas could be an issue, because then you might focus too much on that single discipline. But, we took this fight on like 4 weeks' notice against a young pro from Townsville, funny enough. And, I think it's a good, fair matchup. We haven't been – I think boxing, you need to be very careful that you're not the B side, right? I think as long as you have a good, fair matchup and it's 50-50 fight, then I don't think there's any issue with that. I have had some guys have kickboxing fights in the past. Look, I wouldn't throw a lot of guys into a pro boxing match. Caleb's probably one of the very few from my gym that I'd do that. And he does have good hands. He's got good pressure, good volume, good gas tank. It's 4 rounds. It's not going to be a drama for a guy that fights 3-5s typically anyway. So, yeah, look, I'm pretty confident that we'll get it done tomorrow night. I think it's a good thing for his growth. I think if you look back at some of the guys that have had success in MMA, like Joe Duffy, for example, I believe he was like 6-0 or something as a pro boxer. He had a few years off MMA, went straight to pro boxing, came back, probably affected his ground game a little bit, and his MMA sort of game then relied on keeping a fight on the feet. So I think there can be some negatives, but I don't see an issue with a couple of short notice fights here and there to build the record, gain experience, and catch a payday.
Talk about the payday. Everyone talks about like boxing being where the money's at compared to MMA. At that level, like, you're not Tim Tszyu type thing. In Australia, in boxing compared to MMA, is the money more in boxing?
I mean, he's definitely getting paid more than I'd pay him in MMA. It's not significant, but like he is at the first pro fight level. Like he's probably getting paid $500 to $800 more than what he would get domestically to fight at 1-1-1. So he's 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw. Sorry, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 no contest. So I think at that it's probably he is getting paid a little bit more, but it is what it is.
Is that why you think we're seeing guys like
I don't think it's significant. I don't think it's going to change too much.
Like Dim Skillies, Dan Hill, Isaac Hardman. Do you think that's why we're seeing them go to boxing?
No. Look, Isaac Hardman is a freak. Man, he can fucking box. Like, he could box before he did MMA. His dad was a Australian champion boxer. When we used to train together, he had good hands. He always had good hands. Everyone in the gym would kick him and take him down, unless you obviously had the experience. But for the most part, if you just try to box him, he would outbox you as a young kid. It's like, I think he kind of grew up boxing a little bit quietly. Like, not like fighting or anything, but like training boxing. Like that was just what they did. So he can actually box. I think the others typically followed, like Dan Hill trained with Isaac and then sort of followed in that path. I would say money helped, because I've talked to them about MMA and they don't seem super interested. Not Isaac, but definitely Dan Hill. The interest doesn't exist as much as you would probably expect, and I'd say that's heavily money focused. So there's a lot of toll on your body when you do MMA. You got grappling, wrestling, striking, kicking. It takes its toll on your body, and for a little bit less money, it doesn't seem worth it when you can run, hit a bag, hit pads, and just boxing sparring. So it seems more beneficial financially, but also bang for buck probably seems a little bit better to be boxing at the early stages. I'd say you take a few losses, then MMA is a little bit different. Take a few losses in MMA, you don't really lose any money, but you lose some money once you start taking a few losses in boxing.
Do you think we then could see an Isaac Hardman come back? I mean, you know him well. He's taken a couple of those losses in boxing and whatnot. He has mentioned in the past that, I don't know if he was just mucking around in the comments or whatnot, but he said that he would be interested in the Harry Webb fight. Like, do you think we see him back at MMA at all?
I think whatever promotion decides to try and make that would need to open their wallet to start with. He's 15-3 in boxing. He's not going to fight in MMA for, he's 9-0 in MMA. I think he's not going to come back to MMA for $2,000. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to him. He's built like somewhat of a career out of boxing alone now. And I would imagine, I got no idea, but I would imagine he's been paid pretty well. And he would have decent sponsors. So he would take a significant sacrifice financially to come back to MMA, I would imagine. But look, I wouldn't rule it out. I think the guy's a fighter more than anything. And if you watch his boxing career, the way he talks, if fight week sells the way it normally does or better, then it'll be a fantastic night out. And if it doesn't, it's already going to be a good night out anyway.
As a promoter, is there like a magic number in your head where you're like, okay, I got to hit half this or I'm broke on this card type thing? And have you hit that number?
I think as a business owner, if you look at promoting as a business, then there's a number that makes sense, whether it's a win or a loss, to continue to build your brand and invest in your, organization for long-term growth. And we're past that number. I'm happy with this card. I'm happy with where it's at. And we've done, I probably like end of last week, I felt okay about everything. 4 weeks ago, I was shitting myself. I was like, fuck, like maybe I shouldn't have done this, but now I feel okay about it. I feel good. I'm excited about the week ahead. I'm excited about the fights. I'm excited about promoting in Townsville. I'm excited to stay at the casino.
Do you have like a newfound respect for people that take their promotions like interstate?
I respect those people anyway.
But just, like the effort of trying to get a show.
Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult. Like there's costs involved. Like, if you've got, I don't know, I'd imagine that a terminal's got a cage in somewhere stored for their events, and they're not shipping it across the country. But even something as simple as trying to get a shipping container with my cage in it and all our stuff shipped to Townsville is a pain in the ass. And thankfully, it's already up there. But there's everything. There's logistics are a nightmare to try and do anything interstate or intrastate. In this case, 1,700 Ks anyway, or 1,600 Ks anyway. So it's a nightmare. It's logistically a pain in the ass. It took me a lot of time that normally I wouldn't have to put in, but it is what it is. And and save the tough jobs for the people that can handle them, mate.
Is taking the fight card around, because Jacob Watts once said this with Hex. They said if it was all about money, they'd just stay at the Melbourne Pavilion. They wouldn't go to New Zealand. Is taking your show on the road, is that more about brand awareness? Is that more about just new challenges? Is it because it wouldn't be about, because I'm sure you're very similar. If it was just about making money, you could just keep making that at Eden's Hill Hotel.
If it was about making money, I wouldn't be promoting. I'd be building gyms. It's not, promoting is not about making money, man. Like once it becomes making money, it becomes very obvious where your thoughts are at and how you treat people. And money's nice. Not taking a loss is good for business. I think that's important. So I think it's important to not lose sight of the fact that you can't lose money, because then it's a bad business decision. So as long as you make it a little bit, then it's good. But yeah, look, if it was about making money, I would have, heavily based amateur cards with 2 or 3 pros at the top. And I would always stay at the Eden's Hill. In fact, I probably wouldn't be at the Eden's Hill because that place is fucking expensive too, which is probably why there's only ever been one other MMA show there before I went there, and now I've run 6. Right? It's super expensive to be there. 4.5-star accommodation, not cheap. The venue's not cheap. They have a minimum food and beverage spend, which is very, like, I have to sell 18 tables to stay there. Like it's not you can't just fill the place with seats and standing. You have to have tables. So there's just, every venue is different, but those guys have expensive costs. And so if it was about making money, I'd be at the local PCYC running amateur fights that cost me no money. But that's not the case. And so, I think just the idea of going to Townsville is close to home for me. I wasn't really interested in going anywhere else. So I didn't want to go and shit in someone's bed and upset the apple cart. Like my thoughts stay the same. It's about the growth of sport, and each event is about a premier fighter and fan experience. But Townsville is close to me because I served in the army up there for 4.5 years. My wife's from North Queensland, or North West Queensland, and one of my closest friends is up there. Jack James is up there training under him. Coach Training Centre. They deserve a show up there to showcase the skills that North Queensland has. And Kai MMA, like all these places can. Like there's so many fight gyms up there that don't get opportunities. All they do is pursue opportunities in Southeast Queensland and down the East Coast. And so it just felt like it was good for the sport. But Townsville itself is something that I understand. So that's why I did Townsville.
And speaking of this Townsville card, it really is a stacked card. I would tell you if it wasn't. What is your favorite card coming up?
We know. What's my favorite fight on that card?
Yeah.
You fumbled the bag there, Mitch. I just want to point that out.
What did I say?
You said, "What's your favorite card coming up?" I was going to talk about another card.
Oh, interesting. What you have to understand is this is my world, and I can edit this.
Fight.
I can edit this, and I can edit all of this out.
But you won't.
And I might even edit. You've said
because
Eternal.
You're a man that doesn't edit things out.
You've said Eternal. Maybe I slipped that in there.
I'm an Eternal supporter.
Maybe I slipped that at the end when I said, "What's your favorite card?"
I've been trying to get my athletes on Eternal for 2 years now.
Oh.
I'm an Eternal supporter.
Why haven't? No. Don't move past that. Why haven't they gotten on the card?
I'd say the right matchups didn't exist.
You know what? You're a businessman.
I'll just send nominations through.
You should be a politician.
I'll just send the names through. I'll send the names through, man. If nothing comes back, then we find somewhere else. Doesn't matter. It's just a fight card. So anyway, Townsville, favorite fight? I don't know, man. I think besides the obvious main and co-main event, there's two fights that I think one people would sleep on and the other one they won't. Daryl Pale versus Mario Loga is insane. If someone doesn't think someone's going to sleep in that, they are silly, right? I would tune in for that fight alone. It is free on YouTube, Beatdown Promotions. Hit the subscription, catch your card. Daryl Pale, Mario Loga will be as good as domestic MMA gets at the amateur level. I promise you. Pro, again, besides the obvious, I wouldn't sleep on the potential for high-level grappling exchanges between Jack Lipper and Brody Maoki.
Mine's Max Kelly and D. Samasoni, as I feel like someone's going to get knocked out.
Yeah. Look, I know.
That's your boy.
Yeah. Look, I think that. Yeah. He understands. I'm a promoter. He's never even watched one of my fights. That kid. I don't talk about him too much. Until he goes and watches all my fights. No, look. If I'm breaking down a card that's got 14 fights on it, I'm pretty honest with him as well. Like I think that fight has a clear path to victory for both guys. I personally don't think someone gets knocked out in that fight, but I do think it finishes inside the distance if Max wins, and I do think that if he doesn't get his shots off and he doesn't win the grappling exchanges, that Samasoni has, that what have we seen in his pro debut? Box, takedown, control position, get back up, box, takedown, control position, get back up. I mean, he's got a sound 3-round fight game plan that he executed in that last fight. And if he does anything the same, look, he wasn't exactly in the pocket looking for a knockout, right? And he wasn't exactly looking for a lot of submission attempts. But yeah, they could get knocked out. I mean, Samasoni's got power in his hands, and Max seems to touch things and they go to sleep. So, look, anything could happen. But I think that the Lipper versus Maoki fight, for anyone that knows what the grappling level is of those two guys, Maoki's been at CKB. Potentially, Brody could come out, keep it on the feet, let his striking go. Kyle did that 2 weeks ago. But if it goes to the ground, I just think we're going to get an insane level of grappling that will be the highest level in the country, essentially, between two guys. Not one guy having good grappling and one not, but two guys with good level of grappling. And I feel like it could be very fun to watch for everyone that's educated in the sport.
It's gonna come out fucking
Gonna come out
broad.
blazing, looking for a knockout.
So that's what he's gonna do.
Oh, taxi drop.
Mate, yeah, before I let you go, what was your biggest challenge putting on this show, and what do you think is going to be the biggest success after this show?
I'd say the biggest challenge was just getting the name out to the Townsville population and selling tickets. Again, it was initially difficult to get them moving, but we've had great success over the last month, and I guess that was the challenge to start with. What was the second part of that question?
What is the thing that you're looking forward to the most? Like when this event is all done, what's the thing you're going to be most proud of?
Man, I'm just looking forward to reflecting on the event. I already feel like it's a success before we even get up there. So barring anything going drastically wrong this week, I feel like just being able to reflect on the event and the numbers that we were able to bring to the Townsville Entertainment Centre and the opportunities we were able to provide for, mostly North Queensland athletes, just reflecting on that. I am genuine in my, when I say that I want what's best for the sport, for the growth of the sport. I do want the fighters to walk away and go, win or lost, like we got looked after, that was a good experience, and we do it again. And I want the fans to want to buy tickets to the next event. And if that happens, then, and I don't lose money, then I win. So that's what's important to me. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to being able to reflect on that while I build the Brisbane card for July 13 at the same time. Wait for that one.
Oh, yeah. Is that
some good fights?
Are you going to have some hard men on that one?
What's a hard man?
A hard man. Are you going to have a hard? Are you going to try to get a hard man on that card?
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Nah. We got a couple of internationals lined up. I think the top fight, if we pull it off, we'll confirm it on Monday. But I believe the top fight will be a surprise to the domestic scene, and it'll be very exciting, challenging fight. And I'm excited for it. So, yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens. But I'm pretty pumped for that one, and looking forward to putting it together and getting back to the Eaton's Hill and being able to just drive down the road 6 minutes and set a cage up. So,
and telling them
there'll be no hard man on that fight.
Telling them how expensive the venue is and selling 18 tables.
Oh, it is like that is literally why no one goes there. It's got nothing to do with hiring it. It's the cost of having to spend a certain amount to be there. But I wouldn't change it. The venue is beautiful. Everyone that stays at the hotel has Woolworths, pharmacies, food. There's like a whole food outlet there now, which they've just expanded. I mean, you don't have to travel once you land. It's got everything you could possibly need at the venue. The hotel is 50 meters from the front door of the venue. So yeah, it's an all-in-one experience, and everyone's enjoyed it so far. So I'm looking forward to getting back to Brisbane. But for now, Townsville this weekend, guys. If you don't have tickets, you're in Townsville region. Tickettech.com.au, Battle in the North. Look it up. Get tickets. There's not many left. If you're out of town, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We won't charge you to watch amateur athletes. Catch it live.
Love it, mate. You're the best. Best of luck, and I'll chat to you next time.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate the platform. You have a wonderful day at work.
Thanks, mate.